Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bullpen. All right, we have a story to share with you about someone who we covered during this week. We have the background to that story, and we have the father of the son who was wrongfully accused. Here it is.
Too often, when a young black boy defends himself against mob violence, he is not seen as the victim, but he is portrayed as the aggressor. That is what is happening to my son. Despite being surrounded, taunted, and attacked, Christopher is being painted as the one at fault. This is not justice, this is not fairness, and this is not the community we should want Midlothian to be. I call on everyone who believes in truth and justice and in protecting our children to stand with us. My son deserves the same fairness, dignity, and presumption of innocence that any other child would receive. This is bigger than just my family. This is about whether we as a community are willing to confront biases, hold institutions accountable, and ensure that no black person, man, woman, or child is punished for simply trying to survive.
Very well said. We've covered these stories on Indisputable and have brought up the exact same question. Even on the show today, we brought up that question about an incident of potential bullying that was criminalized against a 9-year-old. Now, we have on the show the outspoken father, Mr. Mark Nienhuis. Mark, welcome to the Bullpen. Welcome to Indisputable. How are you?
Doing good, Dr. Richey. Appreciate you having me on the show and giving me this opportunity.
Well, we appreciate you for providing leadership, not only for your family, but in proxy to the community and to the nation. Give us the background as to what happened between your son and this group and what happened after that interaction.
Okay. So basically, my son and his friends, he went up to the park with 3 of his friends. They just went out to, just go hang out, whatever. None of this was planned. None of this was, set up for them to meet and, engage in any type of activity. Prior to this, one of my son's friends had an altercation, just minor kid stuff with this group of kids. But once more, like I said, this was never planned. So they were at the park, and the group of kids just happened to see my son and his 2 friends. Or 3 friends. They were talking to some girls, and they approached them. Obviously, to reach out to my son's friend that was with him. They blocked them in their vehicle, wouldn't let them get out of the park. My son wasn't driving; his other friend was driving. The windows were down. They started kind of trying to punch them through the window. So they drove out and got away from everybody. While they were driving away, the group of kids started throwing stuff at them, rocks, trash, whatever, at their vehicle, right? So a little down the road in the park, they stopped just to get out, see if anything's wrong with the car, if any damage, whatever. As they're inspecting the vehicle, this group of kids, they all jump in their trucks. They drive down the road a little bit, still in the park, and they approach my son. They approach my son and his friends. There's a female that began to spit on him, called him the N-word multiple times. You can see on the video, a different video that hasn't been released yet, but you can see where she's being held back and not being let go. All her friends are trying to stop her from going, get to my son, but she's continuing to, and he's steady, kind of trying to get away, de-escalate the situation, get away from the girl. But she manages to kind of escape her friend. And that's when she lunged and attacked my son. He did defend himself, and then all the other boys that were with this one girl, they began, they attacked my son. It was about 8, 9, something like that. They all rushed my son, and he defended himself, rightfully so. But after that, it was actually the very day it happened, I got a call just threatening what they were going to do to my family, what they're going to do to my son if they seen him. Then we got another text message about there being a group chat with 51 people that want to kill my family. My address was posted on Google Maps with pictures of my house, stating that it'd be a shame if something happened. So it's just been an ongoing thing, fear and intimidation tactics. Given that this kid is also, the kid that was injured is the son of an Ellis County Sheriff's deputy, which adds a big, factor to all of this. Even just a lot of stuff with the bond, with his bond being extremely high. His bond was set at $355,000. You would have thought somebody died. And then even just when there was a lot of questionable stuff when they were trying to remove him from Midlothian jail to Ellis County. given that the kid's dad is a sheriff deputy, there was fear of retaliation upon him, reaching the Ellis County Jail. There just wasn't some stuff that wasn't adding up. His bond was given extremely late. The Midlothian judge usually gives bond around 12. He didn't get his till after 6. It was extremely high. So it led me to believe that you didn't think we were going to be able to get the money, and just to ensure that you also gave it extremely late when all the banks are closed. Later that night, the jailer did inform me that if Ellis County Sheriff's deputies do come in at the middle of the night, whether it's 1, 2, 3, whatever, they are going to be forced to release him. When I heard that, that was kind of my green light to go ahead. And I scrambled. We were able to scramble the money up. Had to post 35,000. Luckily, we had some family that helped us out, friends that helped us out. We were able to get them out. But since all this has happened, it's been a lot. A lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear. Worrying about my family. I got 6 children, 4 boys, 2 younger daughters. My girls are scared, so it's just been a lot.
Man, that's quite extreme. There's video footage. We have the screenshots. We try to be very sensitive to young people here on Indisputable. Marissa, if you would, put up that screenshot again, just to help viewers understand why the contextualization has been mob attack. As you can see, you have a lot of individuals there who he did not come with, meaning Christopher. So, Mark, what has your son been charged with? Now, this is in the state of Texas, correct?
Correct.
And what has your son been charged with officially?
So he's been charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault and 1 count of assault, which is the Class C misdemeanor. So the biggest one is those 2 aggravated assaults, which are both felony charges.
Yeah. Do you know how much time he's potentially facing given the nature of the charges?
Not 100% sure, but it is potentially significant.
Okay. And the bond, you are correct. It is excessive, $355,000. We've covered individuals who were charged with killing somebody else, and they did not have a $355,000 bond.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely it seems that there's an inequity even in that. So let's talk about some of the variables that happened to you afterwards. So we got the cause and effect as to why this happened to your son, and we understand the inequity that took place in the charges, but then you got threats. So tell me, how did that happen?
So, like I said, the initial threat was a call. I have no clue how they got my number, and even that was suspicious because when they
was this an adult, a child, male, female?
I believe it was one of the kids, one of the kid that got stabbed. It was definitely one of his friends. I'm not sure. I know some of them are minors, some of them are adults, but it was from them.
Okay.
But even that was suspicious because I asked how they got my number, and even when I informed the Midlothian Police Department that I had been threatened by these guys, that they had got my number, he simply said, "Yeah, we heard about that," and laughed, kind of chuckled,
Wow.
and walked away. So, that just kind of goes to see where it's at, and then it just continued on with a lot of internet stuff, a lot of posts, and a lot of pictures with guns. I didn't even mention that, pictures with guns. So it was just a lot of intimidation tactics from these kids, but some of it also came from. So in the chat room, in the Facebook groups for Ellis County, Midlothian, there was a lot of and this isn't necessarily threats, but it was a lot of people really telling how they feel. Comments like, if you all hadn't built the basketball courts, they wouldn't come. I hope he gets bent over a jailhouse bunk. That's what happens when the demographic changes. That type of rhetoric was stuff that was being spewed all across the internet, all across Facebook, various social media platforms.
To the group that is alleged to be the aggressor in this scenario, to that group, have they been charged with anything?
No. So they have not been charged with anything. And another interesting factor in all this, none of these kids even live in Midlothian. They all live 30 minutes roughly away. So they drove here. Not only that, they drove here 2 days. I forgot to mention that the day prior to that incident, they drove here and they approached another one of my sons who had nothing to do with this, nothing to do with any of it. But they knew they approached him as well.
I remember when I was 17, and this is why this story is so important. When I was 17 years of age, I was in and out of foster care. I was a gang member on Glenwood Road in Atlanta, Decatur. Made some mistake. I got arrested. State of Georgia had just made every 17-year-old an adult in the context of arrest only. So for the first time, I wasn't going to juvenile, I was going to real jail. And in the course of that, there was a district attorney who did not like the state law. So he gave every 17-year-old offender a first offender act. And because of that, I was able to finish my high school diploma. I got a PhD today. I'm a college professor, but I got a GED when I was 17 because of that program.
Okay.
I also was forced to either get in college or go to work, and I got into college. Today, I'm a felony-free Black male because somebody had grace on me when I was 17. But see, here's the difference between my story and your son Christopher's. I did wrong. Your son simply defended himself. And that's the reason you're on this show, and that's the reason we advocate, because we understand what that means for a Black male to have that kind of mark on the record. And we want to do what we can to alleviate the pain and potential suffering and restriction that can cause. Tell us about your son. What kind of son is it?
So my son Christopher, Chris is a good kid. Chris is his mom calls him her little lover boy because he's just nice. He's that kid. He's gonna go out his way to help his mom. He's gonna go out his way to help people. And even in some of the comments, like teachers or substitutes, they bought that up. The kind of kid he's the kind of kid that will go out his way to help. He wanted to go to the military like me. I was in the military for 13 years. His dream was to follow my footsteps, go join the military, and do his thing there. He's big into snakes. That's his thing. He collects. He's got a bunch of different pythons and stuff that he's into. That's actually why he was at the park showing the girls in the park all the different snakes, because they like to take pictures with him. Just to speak to the fact that he wasn't there on any type of hostility or anything like that. That's how Chris is.
When I ask that question to a parent, the way your face lit up before you answered the question is the answer to the question.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of son you have. Let's put it up full mass. We have a GoFundMe. And sir, if you would tell us about the reason for the GoFundMe and why it is needed.
Yeah. So it's actually Give, Send, Go. GoFundMe, you're not allowed to use those funds.
That's right. My apologies.
So no problem. So Give, Send, Go. We are currently simply trying to raise this money. It is, with a case like this, it's going to be expensive. With what we're fighting, with who we're fighting, with the oppressor they're already trying to apply, it's going to get expensive. Just to get them, I'm already at least 40,000 in on bond and retainers for the lawyer. So we're tapped for cash at this point. So it's really just about trying to raise these funds. We're calling on the community to help us, help keep our son out of prison. For simply defending himself, because something like this, if it can happen to anybody. And a lot of time, a lot of us as Black folks, we don't. I'm not gonna say everybody, but nobody gets involved. Nobody wants to do anything till it's at their door. And I've been complicit as well in that type of thing. But I'm here now, and I recognize that this got to stop. This got to stop, because just down to the fear, the intimidation, the thinking that you can just railroad somebody and destroy their life. No, you're not going to do it with mine.
Mark, I'm very thankful that you said that, and I'm very thankful once again for your leadership. When Christopher is successfully out of this system entanglement, I know that you're going to be a continued advocate for young Black folk to never have to go through this in their future either. This is how experience shapes us, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, man. We encourage everyone to be supportive. Keep us updated as to the case and developments, okay?
Yes, sir, will do. Once again, I appreciate the opportunity.
We appreciate you, brother.